Yep. Hey guys, I'm Jesse Houston, the Overland chef. I've pretty much grown up in the restaurant world. I've worked in kitchens and in restaurants, bussing tables, bar backing, waiting tables, until I finally decided to start working in the kitchen. Over my career path of, say, 20 years, I was starting to face a lot of burnout in the industry, running kitchens and operating restaurants. And one day I decided to go get a 4x4, old beat up 3rd gen 4Runner, and with the idea that it would hopefully help me get outside and enjoy life a little bit more instead of being just trapped inside of 4 walls of a kitchen. So I did it and it worked. I've got a daughter that I really wanted to kind of share some of that with. I hadn't really camped since I was a kid with my parents, but it was something that came back pretty easy. And one of the things that really got me excited was cooking over a fire, something I was really passionate about at the time. And so I grabbed my gear, went to some local campsites and just started cooking. At one point I got really excited about seeing what is new in the ways of cooking outdoors and camp cooking. And so I started searching and Googling to find, all the hottest new products for that kind of thing. And I was shocked to see that basically nothing has changed. You still got your little camp stove and your pots and pans and all of that. So I kind of decided to just take things to the next level using my skills and assets as a chef. So a lot of what I do is born from that, taking the knowledge and the experience that I have and the organizational tools from a professional restaurant kitchen and putting them into a truck build or into my outdoor kitchen. Definitely my career as a professional chef has influenced the way I set up my camp kitchen. I'm always looking for ways to organize myself, to keep my mise en place, which is a French term for everything in its place. It pertains to everything from your ingredients to your tongs and spatulas and pots and pans, having everything within reach, knowing exactly where everything is so that you are fast and efficient and clean as you cook. So I would definitely say that's helped me tremendously in the outdoor kitchen. One of the biggest things I've had to transition from the kitchen to a truck aspect is, making sure that I've got proper refrigeration and cooling for my ingredients. Having an Overland refrigerator or a cooler is much different from the, really amazing fan-driven coolers that we have in kitchens. So it takes a lot more effort to make sure that your product is cold and safe and organized in a way that won't lead to cross-contamination. So that's been, a fun challenge to help solve. Well, I've had to rethink, several different things in terms of, cooking from a professional kitchen to the outdoors. As much as possible, I love to use open fire cooking. And so you're always searching for hot spots and cool spots to let things rest. Having proper sort of grills and little, even if you're using just big rocks to set a Dutch oven on or a pan on when after you've sauteed something and want to keep it warm by the fire, you're always searching for the heat source and feeling things out. As opposed to in a professional kitchen, you've got low setting, high setting, you can set it anywhere in between and kind of dial in a temperature. You're always searching for that. And then as I started exploring more and going further west on my travels, I realized that open fire cooking wasn't always something I could do. There's a lot of burn bans. And coming from Mississippi and Texas and areas where I've never even heard of a burn ban, it was a huge transition from something that I was really passionate about doing over a fire to now switching gears and picking up and doing more propane cooking. So my style has evolved to rely on propane more heavily these days. But anytime I get a chance to cook over fire, that's what I prefer to do. The truck has an Australian theme to it as of right now. It started with basically going a little too hard in Baja. I did some damage to the back of the truck, so that led me to get this really awesome MITS alloy tray and canopy system from Australia. It is really, really useful for organizing and having all different kinds of slide outs and pull outs. and boxes and things like that. So I'm really excited about fine tuning it and getting even more organized. It actually will become a secondary kitchen to the trailer that we have that's a primary kitchen. And so after that, it kind of led the snowball down to this rad little ARB bumper, their new Summit 2 bumper, which is awesome. I think we're gonna pick up a few more Aussie cues here and there as we continue the build, because it's never ever done. Every modification I do, I like to think of how will this help my kitchen. At first, the build was strictly about that. It wasn't about flashy lights unless I needed lights to see the kitchen at night. So I always make sure I've got plenty of water. The Mitts alloy system has 12 gallons. On my trailer, I have another 8. And then of course we carry plenty of roto packs along with us. So we have plenty of water for cooking and also for washing dishes, of which there's always a ton of dishes to wash. I've got onboard air, which allows me to pressurize those tanks so that we get nice spray for cleaning off dishes and things like that, which is always a plus. And of course, you use that air to air up and down to get your kitchen to those remote places. There are MOLLE panels everywhere in which I hang kitchen gadgets and my knife roll and cutting boards and things like that. There's 2 refrigerators on board this truck, one that's in the cab and one that's in the Mitts on a pull-out drop-down system. So yeah, everything is been purpose-built for getting off-grid, getting to remote areas to cook in really cool places. So as I said, I was really burnt out in the professional restaurant life, and getting outside and cooking really helped reignite my passion for cooking. I was cooking for myself as opposed to, hundreds of, anonymous diners every night that could, hide behind a Yelp review if they didn't like something or whatever. I was cooking for friends, and it was just a really invigorating experience. And I realized that this is something that I needed more in my life, to get outdoors, to breathe fresh air, as opposed to recirculating Ventahood systems that, capture the greasy air that's in a kitchen. So fresh air, beautiful sights, and then cooking, what I want to cook, really put a lot of love into the food and help rekindle that for me. And I think that everyone needs a little bit about that. In fact, Overland Chefs started with a mission to raise awareness for the burnout in the restaurant industry right now. I'm sure you've heard about the staffing shortages, just about every sort of job, but it really hits hardest in the restaurant industry because of it's a really toxic workplace, and it's really easy to burn out. So I want to raise awareness for those of us that have never worked in the restaurant industry to have a little bit more empathy for what's going on, but also to provide hope for those that are in the restaurant industry still, that you don't have to be so burnt out. You do need to make time for yourself. It doesn't have to be overlanding, it doesn't have to be camping or the outdoors, but something that really helps you relax and renew and just unwind and focus on the right things. I think one of the biggest tips I can provide for creating really quality chef-driven meals of your own while at camp is to, first of all, not be afraid. If it's something you want to cook, there's no reason why you can't cook it outdoors. It's allowed me to be creative. I'm typically creative in the sense of coming up with fun dishes, but it's allowed a whole different type of creativity for figuring out how can I do this outside, and it's really limitless. There's no limitations to it. Secondly, prepare things at home. Where you are comfortable in your kitchen, you can prepare a lot of delicious things that last for as long as you want to travel, especially with modern refrigeration and freezing in the overland industry. You can prepare, things like braised short ribs and pot roasts that take hours to cook at home. They freeze really, really well, especially in a vacuum seal bag. Bring that along with you and just basically warm it up at camp. And then maybe grill some fresh vegetables over a fire or in a cast iron over your camp stove. Preparing things at home in advance is another huge tip. A third tip, a really good one, is to be inspired by where you are. Seek out local markets, farmers markets, know when things are in season. It's always really fun when you're traveling to a destination. Know that there's beauty in the food scene, there as well. So unique ingredients, unique cooking styles. So yeah, pay attention to that and play with what's around you. So Overland Chef, we have a line of pantry items that we love to take along with us that help add to our meals outdoors, one of which is our granola. We have a couple different flavors. You can purchase them from us. Just hit us up in the DMs and we'll get you a bag. Those flavors are really fun, really exciting. It's not like your average granola. The granola is great for snacking, just straight out of the bag. But for breakfast, it's really, really good with yogurt and fresh fruit. I love it. When we were in Baja, I was always like yogurt and fresh mangoes for me. It was super good. We've also got some hot sauces that are kind of seasonal to kind of spruce up your cooking, whether you're at the campsite or at home. I use some flavors in my food that will help you have a little bit of the camp experience at home if you can't get outside. So look for those items as we release them. They're a lot of fun. And we plan on releasing a lot more different items very, very soon. On my travels, I've come across a lot of really cool ingredients. In Baja, it was fresh oysters straight off the beach. The fishermen were bringing in beautiful red snapper that we cooked right there on the beach with the sunsets and actually the whales in the background spouting. It was insane. I will say that hatch green chili season is fun as you're going through places like New Mexico. Making Navajo fry bread is super simple and very rewarding, especially when you can just kind of like put whatever you've got and make yourself a little taco or flatbread. They're so good. Up north in like Montana, you'll find huckleberry absolutely everything. When I was there, I made sure I tried as much as I could, from ice creams to sodas, beers, candy, you name it. Huckleberry, everything. So try what's around you. Utah fry sauce. I'll tell you what, if you combine the Navajo fry bread, put some Utah fry sauce on that and some grilled meats, that's an awesome meal. Of course, in Virginia, it was all about the country hams and the apples in October, from apple butter to frozen apple cider. Oh my gosh, the country ham though is next level. I've really enjoyed in Colorado the Palisade peaches, and the cherry season is really awesome. The trout, everywhere you go, trout. So make sure it's legal and safe for you to fish and eat that trout though. Bison, elk, things like that you can find kind of a lot of places like Colorado, Wyoming, Montana. And then of course in the Pacific Northwest, the abundance of seafood, Dungeness crab, oh my gosh, mussels, scallops, halibut. So traveling can really like bring a lot of life to your cooking and give you experiences that you can't have just at home when you start putting things together from the places you are. So Overland Chef has got a lot going on for it right now. I can't really talk about all of it, but we want to make your life exciting and easy when it comes to camp cooking. So we've got a lot of products coming out for your kitchen, for your pantry. Just stay tuned, it's gonna be really cool.